Ta-da. Hi, pal!
Hey, darling.
Thanks for coming to Nancy's Nest, my love.
Thank you all for having me.
Burton Face Magic. So you ran onto that. Do you want me to quickly explain brick by brick?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Wicked. So 15 amazing queer activists, artists who, in my humble opinion, are living the legacy and doing the work that we need to continue what Marsha and Sylvia started. A lot of like every American, there's so much stuff written about America, but what's going on here? So, and of course it's like, it's just really important to document our movements so that we learn from them and then see where we can go from there. And just like qtol's now been going on 2.5 years, so much has happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so how do we write up and where do we go from there? So you ran onto a runway. Who do you think you are? A border collie?
So some do say that my energy is quite puppy-like.
Oh wait, this is on. Is that on? Yeah, it's on. Yeah.
So some do say that my energy is quite puppy-like, but in this this particular event, we were doing very little running and lots of lying down in the cold. It was, as we've repeated many times in court over the past few months, it was a remote part of the airport and not the runway.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
But it's good to be reminded of that. Yeah, we shall I carry on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were a group of people who are really pissed off is the quick way to say, yeah, our feelings about the deportation process in the UK.
Yeah.
They're just like time and time again, we're hearing about queer people in our community being deported to places where they're not safe, and also when they'd be forced to leave behind lives that they've built here. And like only very recently we were hearing about someone who lives in Bristol and is part of like the gay rugby club in Bristol, incredibly involved in loads of community events, and they threatened to deport him, and he's built his life there, and they just want to like send him to a place where he could get gang raped, gang murdered for being gay. And this is all with, yeah, we know, because I guess caveat is I'm privileged to have been able to study and learn this, but a piece of our history in Britain that we are not reminded of enough is that its colonialism is one of the main reasons why homophobia is so entrenched in former colonies.
Yeah.
Because like in Nigeria and Ghana, which was the place where people were being deported to on the flight that we stopped in March 2017, they are former British colonies, and anti-sodomy laws are entrenched there because of colonisation. They weren't enshrined in law before colonisation.
Yeah.
So there's some historical responsibility there, which is what led me to be one of the people who, I wish I'd been running around like a border collie. It would have been much more interesting for me. But we were lying down in the rain trying to stop this plane, and we did. So that was good.
Yes, mate. Oh yes, Lynds. So you and the Stand to 15 are labelled heroines, legends, and martyrs. What happened, and how would you like me to wash your feet, and how can I grace your presence more obediently, you martyr?
Oh my god. Oh, the like imposter feelings around all this hero worship.
I know, I can imagine. I was thinking of you a lot when all of that was coming out.
Yeah, man. It's really strange because on one hand there is the like, you know, this has been terribly inconvenient and has massively like changed my life, and not for the better in lots of ways. So there's the acknowledging this has been really difficult bit, but then also I'm like, people say we're the frontline activists, and I don't feel like that, because, you know, I'm not the one staring down the barrel of a gun of like cops that want to kill me. Like, There are much more extreme versions of Frontlines going on out there all the time, and yeah, people have thrown these labels at them, and I try and behave like a duck that's like shaking off. You know, they're not useful to us because we've done this because we feel, and well, actually, I'm speaking from my own perspective, but we did this because we were aware of certain situations and like how could we not do something like the word. Yeah, I couldn't have lived in my own integrity if I'd have not done it, but I didn't do it to be called like these labels, which you know they're a bit antiquated as well. Yeah, there are people out there doing much more intense, much more direct, much more frontline stuff, and I feel like they're the ones who need support, and what we were doing was just trying to do what we could from the position that we're in, because we're not in those positions. I definitely, the word responsibility and like words like duty seem a bit more appropriate, because it's like I'm not going to go and like take myself to places where I could be in danger, that then means people around me have to like look after me, and then that like means that their struggle is more difficult. It's more like, here this could be done, and it needed to be done really to like bring certain things to light.
I mean, we wanted to like take the piece. We could set up a martyr speaking tool.
People wouldn't get it though, man. People would be like, oh, you are.
I know.
No.
I'm taking the piss. Martyr speaking tool.
Like, one of my main hopes from this is that other people feel called to do more direct action.
Yes.
About this, but don't tell anyone that, because I'm
still
having my probation.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but that relates to one of the angles of the book. It was, the other working title was about getting arrested. Like, do we need to, have we become timid, essentially? Because if we see the queer struggle, you see what happened in the Stonewall Inn. Anyway, this is in the questions, but one of the key narratives is like, have we become timid, etc.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there can be this tendency to valorize being arrested and that kind of, more of a martyring type of action, which of course is being used by Extinction Rebellion at the moment.
The martyr type action.
The sort of like lots of people getting arrested to try and affect change.
Yeah.
But it's also like the contemporary situation that we're in right now. Legal aid cuts mean that getting arrested is a very costly thing, and I
want to do an action in support of them, particularly Marshall's.
It's just like it's a very involved thing, and I like to think that there are more creative ways we can do direct action that don't mean that people have to be arrested with all of that hoo-ha that goes on. The multiplicity of tactics I'm very much in favour for, but everyone within their means. Yeah.
I guess, actually, this wasn't in there, but it's just made me think of it. The action that we did last year before, the Property Developers Awards.
Yeah.
I fucking loved that.
That was so fun. I want to do more stuff like that. That was fun.
April this year.
Great.
Tell us a bit, let me just put the heat on. Tell us a bit more about, it is on. You cold?
No, I'm alright, hon.
Yeah. Tell us a bit more about...
I'm wearing the same colour, by the way.
I know, I was just like that. Yes, babe. Yeah, tell us a bit more about... Because, about... What did you enjoy? Why did you love it, that action? And what happened?
So, one of the things I absolutely love about you, Dan, and all of the madcap stuff that you dream up and make happen, is this, like... this fundamental, no pun intended, issue of fun, right? Yeah. Because I can count, there's more than the fingers on my hands of like how many demos I've gone to where I've been like, I'm angry, I'm angry about this, I don't want this. And you know, who's really listening to that? Like, I then become a number on a march that might get reported. Yeah. You know, and... really, the most important thing about marches and demos is the fact that we're looking around and we see who's around us and we remember that we're strong as a movement. I really believe that can't be emphasised enough. So what we need to do is make sure they're more fun.
Yeah.
Like, you fucking go to like a Latin country, they'll be having loads of music, or like, you know, it'll be a fun participatory thing. Like, that's why I love stuff like English Disco Lovers as well. Because, you know, it's making fun out of it whilst also making the political point. But like, you know, I'm sat in Dan's living room in front of, it says "Live for today, tomorrow might be shite." Like, let's have a fucking ball while we're all at it. Like, there really needs to be more fun occurring, because otherwise how are we going to find this life force that we need to sustain ourselves and keep going forward? Like, it needs to be fun, it needs to be loving, and it needs to be like people together having a good time and living. That really needs to be, it needs to be more of that.
Yes.
Yes.
And what happened at the oh shit, actually I'll just tell Huda to come on here, whatever. Actually, let me just pause it, and then, because I've got